welcome to Vayse, a podcast about weird stuff. I'm a computer program doing a bad impersonation of Christopher Walken, and if you haven't listened to part 1 of this episode, you're going to be wondering what the fuck is going on. There's no easy answer to that. Just go back and listen to part 1. Even after that, you're going to have more questions than answers, but that's life, kid. You knew what you were doing when you pressed play. Deal with it. Okay, now I'm going to hand you back to Pt.2 Hine and Stephen James Buckley as they examine the bloated carcass of 2023 for residual traces of weirdness. I wish you luck. You're sure as hell going to need it. June 2023.
So here he comes. David Charles Grusch. In an article in the Debrief dated 5th of June 2023, Grusch just spilled a load of nonsense about UFOs, reverse engineering of aircraft, captured downed craft. I don't know if he went into the non-human biologics at that point. Grusch is, at age 36, a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan. He's a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the NGA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO. So we've got a few three-letter agencies there already. He served as the Reconnaissance Office's representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force from 2019 to 2021, and from late 2021 to July 2022. He was the NGA's co-lead for the UAP analysis and its representative to the task force. And so, yeah, his claims are basically that partial fragments of crashed objects have been recovered for decades. So this does relate to what I think Nolan was saying in May.
Yeah.
He said that analysis has determined that these objects that have been retrieved are of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin, based on vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures, and that the material includes intact and partially intact vehicles. So it's some pretty heavy claims that he's making here. And no, he claims in the Debrief article, and since there have been criminal efforts to conceal the truth about UFO programs, he mentions that UFOs could be coming from other dimensions. So that's that narrative that could be being pushed again with Pasulka and To the Stars.
Yeah, it certainly, that's when it sort of seemed to start, like, suddenly the whole idea of dimensions, etc., the whole idea of ultra-dimensional beings rather than UFOs or rather than extraterrestrials. That's the point, isn't it, where it seemed to suddenly enter the official narrative and seemed to be UFO Twitter made the turn, you know, from nuts and bolts to more something like that.
Yeah. So he claims that military have been briefed on football field-sized crafts, that there were malevolent activity by some UFOs, that the US has retrieved non-human biological material from some crafts, and that some people have been harmed in the efforts to conceal the truth about the US government having extraterrestrial technology. So he did say quite a lot. The article says that he left the government on April the 7th of 2023 in order, he says, to advance government accountability through public awareness. And apparently he remains well supported within intelligence circles.
Yeah.
So, as you say, he's produced absolutely no evidence.
With Grusch, I guess the first thing that struck me about him was that he seemed incredibly sort of media ready. It was kind of too slick almost. He didn't come across as I don't know. He seemed like an actor. I'm not saying he was, but it was all a bit too clean and a bit too sort of. It felt like he was reading from a script.
Yeah, and like we were saying when we spoke to Emily Louise later in the year, it's the same old stuff. It's the same stuff that you'll find in Mirage Men. And there's absolutely nothing in the way of a smoking gun. What seems to be more likely, given the recent push on congressional hearings and cross-agency military NASA investigations into UFOs, is that some part of the US government or military or some force in intelligence have a desire or an interest or see a benefit in pushing a UFO narrative at this point.
Yeah, that's how it's been for the last, sort of 70 years.
And not only is it the same old story, but it's the same old faces. Because if we skip ahead a month again to the congressional hearings, which happened in July, who do we see sitting behind Grusch but Corbell and Knapp?
Yeah, and isn't Hal? Is it Hal Puthoff?
I think it was Hal Puthoff there as well.
He's involved as well, isn't he? And it's like he's Hal Puthoff was involved in all the remote viewing stuff.
Yeah, and as weird as this sounds, Corbell and Knapp met Grusch at a Star Trek convention in 2022. It's like some of this stuff is so weird.
Yeah. So it's so hard to untangle because there's times when people like Knapp. Like Knapp seems like fairly sincere to me. Like, you just don't know.
So does Corbell. The problem is that they're not. I think the problem is that they're not thinking critically.
Yeah, or they're not. They're given information that is, and they're shown things. It's all Mirage Men, isn't it?
It is.
We need Mark Pilkington and Emily Louise to lead us through this mess.
So, at the International Society for Stem Cell Research's annual meeting in Boston in June of 2023, a scientist from the University of Cambridge and the California Institute of Technology showed work in which they have created synthetic human embryos using stem cells.
Cool.
Now, it would be illegal to implant them into a patient's womb, of course, and it's not yet clear whether these structures have the potential to continue maturing beyond the earliest stages of development. And there's also significant answer questions on whether these structures, in theory, have the potential to grow into living creatures. Because the synthetic embryos grown from mouse cells were reported to appear almost identical to natural embryos. But when they were implanted into the wombs of female mice, they didn't develop into live animals. But it all seems a bit dystopian, and I do have that feeling again that if they can do this, they are doing this.
Yeah, especially when you think about it, sort of, if you combine that with the AI stuff as well,
and the non-human biologics.
Yeah, there could be all sorts. You could be right about the cows, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
cows.
I am right about the cows.
Cows could be like an AI construct. Cows died out like 30 years ago, and the ones that we have have now been grown in our lab, and they are piloted by AI, and they're getting revenge on the human race for what happened to the bison. Yeah,
and why not? Why not?
And the language that we use, like bullshit and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Can't
like
be cowman.
Derogatory.
Yeah,
derogatory language. They're getting the revenge on us for that.
You better tell Corbell, because
I will as soon as this episode is over. Assuming he's not listening already, but I know I should probably tell him before the episode airs. It's not going to air for like another week, is it? So I'll
tip him off.
Yeah, is he on Twitter?
In June of 2023, 2 people were caught on security cameras in Powell River, British Columbia in Canada, half naked and allegedly devouring the carcass of a deer. The footage was caught by Karina Stanhope, who had the security camera watching the deer carcass in her garden to see if any animals would be attracted to it. And I've seen the stills from the footage, and it's really weird. It looks like a man and a woman, perhaps. The man half naked from the waist up. And he appears to be wearing jeans and boots, and the woman is wearing some kind of like tasseled underwear, and they both look like they're wearing black wigs. But this really kicked off on social media.
I never heard this.
Yeah, people were saying that they were everything from walking demons to witches to wendigos to skinwalkers. I don't think that at any point in the video you actually see them eating the deer. I think one of them brings the leg up to their mouth, but it's not like they're face deep in it or anything like that.
Yeah.
It seems like they could be kissing it or smelling it. So I'm not sure whether the deal is, whether they were kind of eating it, whether they were paying their respects, whether it was ceremonial, or whether it was just some weird drug trip. And I've got no idea why they're wearing wigs or why they're dressed so weirdly. I've just got no idea.
Where was it again?
It was in British Columbia in Canada. But the idea that it's witches comes from Fox News article about this.
Of course.
We were quick to imply that it could also be satanic.
Satanic panic.
The whole thing could actually just be some weird conservative propaganda, because it seems like Karina Stanhope, who took the video, has now vanished off social media completely. So there's something definitely weird going on there.
Yeah, it could be like some kind of precursor to something else, and a bunch more stuff will be coming soon about the people in the black wigs with the tassel pants and the hunger for venison.
Yeah. In June, we also interviewed Steve Mera, and we released our interview with Paul Weston, which we'd actually recorded in March.
Oh yeah, that was a wild one.
That was a wild one.
Yeah, it was like, how are you doing, Paul? What have you been up to? And then that was it. 50 minutes of just dense Western smashing it. Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second
great.
of that.
Yeah, definitely want to speak to him again.
Absolutely.
July 2023.
On the 26th of July was the hearing held by the US House of Representatives Subcommittee on National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs. So we've already talked about Grusch, but this was when he made his non-human biologics claim. But more interestingly, I thought we also had Ryan Graves, who's a retired Navy pilot, and he's since founded Americans for Safe Aerospace, which is a UAP nonprofit. And his claims were kind of different. They felt a little bit different. Did you think that about Graves?
Yeah, he definitely was. He seemed more like a.
He seemed more sincere somehow.
Yeah, well, he didn't seem like an actor, and he seemed more like he was genuinely upset, and unless he was just a really good actor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on any of these UAP things at all, and I didn't watch the hearing. I listened to it on a podcast because I was busy, and I listened to it whilst I was doing something else. Obviously, but what he claimed was that he saw UFOs off the Atlantic coast like every day. For a couple of years.
And there's a lot of pilots who do as well.
Yeah, it feels like the Graves stuff has been really underreported in favour of the Grusch stuff. I think it's because what Graves was saying is kind of harder to put into a neat little box. Like, Grusch is saying, we've recovered crashed UFOs, we've recovered non-human biologics, whatever they are, from the crashes, we've been reverse engineering the craft, etc., etc., etc. You know, you've been hearing this. I mean, it's basically like the plot of Independence Day, isn't it? You know, it's
it's Grusch's is more like
Hollywood,
TV friendly and sexy and
Graves is saying, like, on one hand, he's saying that the number of UFOs cited is being grossly underreported, and that the stigma attached to UAPs is real and powerful and challenges like national security, which is kind of on the narrative. And he's saying, like, the government knows more about UAP than is shared publicly, and excessive classification practices are keeping crucial information hidden and all that sort of thing. So that's what you kind of expect him to say. But then he's also saying stuff like, on missions that were just like 10 miles off the coast, they saw like dark grey or black cubes inside a clear sphere.
Yeah. Some of that stuff, like the weird shapes and stuff,
it's really weird.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound like.
I hadn't really heard anything like that until I'd heard Grusch's testimony, Graves' testimony.
It's not like a flying thing, is it? It's not like a
vehicle.
A vehicle, yeah.
It's like, more like geometric shapes contained within each other, and
what is it?
Yeah, he says that they were primarily of dark grey or black. Like cubes inside a clear sphere where the apex or the tips of the cube were just touching the inside of the sphere. That's just weird. And he he also saw, he gave testimony about something that happened in 2003 at the Vandenberg Air Force Base in southern Santa Barbara County, where he said that a large group of Boeing contractors were operating near one of the launch facilities at the Vandenberg Air Force Base when they observed a very large, like 100-yard sided red square approach the base from the ocean and hover at low altitude over one of the launch facilities. And the object remained there for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over a mountain. I don't know whether he means like a square or a cube. I can't tell whether he's talking about something that's 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. But again, it's the colors and the geometric shapes, which are fairly like atypical for this sort of thing.
So I'm reading a book about the simulation hypothesis by Rizwan Virk, who's an MIT computer scientist who, and he like built computer games like all his life, and he's now like a proper sort of scientist scholar type dude. But he's I'm only about halfway through it, but he's talking about I forgot what it's called now. It's not alternate reality. It's augmented reality. Yeah, where sort of people are able to kind of project, almost like do these different things with light, where you can kind of almost create the appearance of an object by mimicking with light the effect that the light has on sort of the electrons in the atmosphere. It's quite hard to explain, but so I imagine it to be a bit like a projection.
Yeah, or a hologram.
Yeah, and it's that sort of technology. And then when you think about like some of the stuff in that book Camelio by Robert Guffey, like so you've got like things that are basically sound based.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are to do with like sound based stuff that are actually causing hallucinations or sort of messing with this guy's head. But it just makes you wonder whether it wouldn't surprise me if there was similar things in the visual spectrum that, create images and things which are, sort of, which can't be explained.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, it's with the technology that we don't know about and stuff. And, a lot of this tech does exist, and a lot of it comes from games. A lot of it comes from a lot of tech that we have now actually, and especially the stuff we've been talking about tonight, like the AI stuff, has its origin in games. And, from like the early days of computer games with like, where it was text based and they had to sort of create an almost intelligence in terms of the reply. And it was a very simple sort of almost binary intelligence, but it gradually got more complicated. But like, it just wouldn't surprise me if it's something like that, and something which is sort of, we think of as being in the realms of gameplay, but actually it's being used as a military thing too, because the two will always have that crossover, and probably always have done since the advent of computer games.
Look at war games with.
Exactly. Yeah. You're using them games. Then games can be used, and that the virtual reality thing, VR is being used to train soldiers, and stuff like that. So it's just that kind of made me think of that kind of crossover thing. But then you've also got the whole idea of not that I subscribe to it, but like the whole idea of Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
That that the US government will be like projecting images of God onto the sky, which will cause sort of it's similar to the dude off Watchmen with the giant squid falling from the sky. The idea is that it will unite humanity under this one world government and religion once they realise that God actually exists, because they've seen him projected onto the sky. Obviously it's bollocks, because everyone has a different, first of all, you've got, because with Bluebeam the idea was, we'll put up a different God depending on which country it is. But not every country has just one religion.
No. Not every religion just has one God.
Yeah, it's just there's all sorts of holes in it. I mean, it's an interesting idea, and I wouldn't put it past them, but it's got its roots in like.
There's something about it though. There's something about it that kind of rings true with what we were talking about earlier.
Now.
Yeah,
with the Pasulka stuff. And
the zealotry around disclosure and so on. The one God, being disclosure. Almost you don't even need the UFOs or the UAPs or the aliens if you've got the promise of
faith.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need. You need the promise of it's almost like in religion you have the promise of paradise or whatever. You just need something that can keep people yearning, I guess, for whatever it is, knowledge or ecstasy or revelation.
It represents that crossover, doesn't it, where technology and religion sort of meet, and that is all of those things that you just mentioned.
Yeah Rapture, that's what it is.
Rapture.
The dead rising from the grave.
Do you know, I learnt today that when babies look away from you and you're like playing with the baby, and then the baby's like, it's the processing all what they've just learnt.
Really?
And they need like a little, like
Just
a bit of
taking
a minute
to themselves,
just to look away, just to deal with like the fact that you've just blown their mind by going, ooh, or whatever.
Well, I think we should bring that back, because like I could really do sometimes to just take a little minute to myself, when I'm in everyday situations.
Yeah, I might just do it now, actually.
You do that. I'll move on to the next story. So we've talked about the bastards at Neuralink experimenting on animals and killing them. But in July of 2023, reports surfaced of a Russian man who'd undergone 10 hours of brain surgery, which he performed himself despite having no neurosurgical training at all, to implant a chip into his own head with the intention of using it to control his dreams.
Wow, was it that guy off The Sopranos, off the Pine Barrens episode? Who's like,
I don't think it was the same guy, but he does seem pretty unkillable. Apparently, he held parts of his skin back with paper clips whilst going at his skull with a drill that he found in a hardware store, so that he could implant the electrode himself.
Is this not the music video to "Happiness in Slavery" by Nine Inch Nails? I think it could be.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, he said that during the first 30 minutes, I was ready to give up many times because, first of all, I lost a lot of blood, approximately a litre of blood, and I was afraid I could just lose consciousness. He continued, I'm glad I survived, but I was ready to die. So, like, on his
Let's
motives,
get him on. Does it have contact details? Let's see if he'll come on.
I don't know. On his motives for this kind of reckless self-abuse, he said, for many people, it will be some sort of entertainment. Now, imagine a paralyzed person who cannot experience anything in their life. And now we find a way to help him get into a lucid dream where everything is possible. Have sex, eat something, do something interesting. So he's clearly something wrong with him.
I don't know. I think he has good motives. He's just gone about it the wrong way.
Well, 5 weeks later, he removed the chip again himself. Right. But I mean, again, like with the Neuralink thing, there's exercises that you can do to encourage. You don't have to drill a hole in your head with a Black & Decker.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that time you tried to drill a hole through your head.
That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. But yeah, I mean, there are exercises. You can look online, you can download books, you could buy books about how to have lucid dreams.
Yeah.
Don't do this to yourself.
Don't drill. Hopefully no one listening will think, oh, that's a good thing to do.
No, surely not. In July, the Hangzhou, I'm not saying that right, zoo in China had to defend itself against accusations from visitors that the sun bears were actually people in suits. I love this story.
What? Sorry, what are the sun bears?
Sun bears they're like smallish bears.
Oh,
yeah.
And they're not people in suits then?
Well, I've seen an actual sun bear. Sadly, it was in a zoo, but that was definitely not a person in a suit.
Okay.
But I've looked at this footage of these sun bears in this Chinese zoo, and they are kind of weird. They're all like baggy, like the fur's kind of hanging off them, and
they're like a person in a suit.
Yeah, and they stand in a really human way and kind of looking like scratch themselves, and like it does seem far fetched, but I would say that the footage is inconclusive. I'll link to it in the show notes. And while this does seem really weird, China has been accused in the past of trying to pass off dogs with funny haircuts as wolves or African big cats. And the zoo in Egypt was accused of painting donkeys to make them look like zebras. And I've seen a photo of that as well, and that is weird. In July, we released our interviews with Nathan Paul Isaac of the Penny Royal podcast and Sequoia Kennedy of the Nonsense Bazaar podcast, both of which were absolute bangers. And then we ended season 1 and had a bit of a rest. I say rest in inverted commas because we actually just carried on recording.
We did, yeah.
August 2023.
So in August of 2023, The biggest hunt for the Loch Ness Monster in over 50 years commenced, with more than 300 volunteers signed up to monitor webcams around the loch, and 200 more taking part in a concerted effort to observe the loch in person from multiple different locations.
Right. How does
It's
that
interesting.
work out?
Well, I mean, all through 2023, there were loads of Loch Ness Monster sightings, but I think there just always are, and they're always really bad. And
It's just that they were more reported because of this particular thing, perhaps.
I mean, perhaps, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we haven't really talked about the Loch Ness Monster here on Vayse. It seems like a bit of a weird one. And
There's lots of crossovers, isn't there? Because you've got the Crowley link, which I think is the most interesting aspect of it to me.
And the ancient biblical stuff, like Saint Columba, which is reported in the Life of Saint Columba, which was written in the 7th century, where a man was allegedly swimming in the River Ness, which is connected to Loch Ness, when he was mauled and killed by a monster. And allegedly Columba then sent someone else to swim across the river to see if it would happen again. And then when it did, he made the sign of the cross, and the monster got really upset and went away.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is with the whole like monster thing, it's like a sort of serpent mythology, isn't it? Which has been with us for a long time. It's hard to know kind of exactly what it's from and how it relates and stuff, but it seems like a common. Sorry, I'm yawning. It seems like a common sort of motif, and it makes you wonder. Kind of that must come from somewhere.
Yeah, I think of it as well a bit like the UFO mythology, in that it was all kicked off with one famous sighting. Like you had the Kenneth Arnold thing in '47, with UFOs, and with the Loch Ness Monster, you had the surgeon's photograph, which is even earlier than that. I think that was published in 1934.
Yeah,
and that was what really kind of brought it into the public consciousness.
Yeah, made it into like a thing.
And that is like after the surgeon's photograph, you had loads and loads of sightings just non-stop really for the years that followed.
What about the stuff in other countries? Because in there's lake monsters kind of all over the place, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's some sort of common mythology, isn't it? It's probably some sort of archetype. I mean, the surgeon's photograph was pretty much proved to be a hoax. The people who did it confessed to it in the 90s. Like it was a toy submarine with some putty on top that made like a dinosaur head. I mean, there was myths of it before that, but I mean, like you say, there's myths of it all over the world. But I mean, is there anything in it? Like I wonder, because I don't think there's anything like an actual monster in there. I mean, there could be there's obviously some pretty large fish in the loch. It's a big, deep loch. But I mean, could it be like an egregore or like?
I was just going to say,
or an ultra terrestrial, or I mean, kelpies. These shape shifting Scottish spirits.
Yeah,
all this sort of thing, because there's these theories, the idea of Bigfoot being a forest spirit, and that's why they sometimes disappear in front of people's eyes, and that's the people that's the people who see this report that less. They report their sighting, but not the fact that these often disappear, which is Joshua
because of the ridicule.
Yeah, and because they want something biological to hang this on. It's an actual giant ape or whatever walking through the forest. Well, what if it's something similar with the Loch Ness Monster, like some sort of spirit of the water or something, a kelpie, something like that. I mean, I probably lean towards believing that more than there being any sort of like actual cryptid in there.
I don't know, I'm not sure. There's probably like a place in between as well, like you say, the kind of egregorial sort of idea sits somewhere in between, and it's the chicken and egg situation, isn't it? Back to chickens.
Yeah,
very animal based episode, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very animal based, but you don't know what came first. The creature, the mythology. Who knows? And obviously, there's the once you add Crowley into the mix and the whole was it the Alamantra working? Oh no, the Abramelin.
Yeah,
it was the Abramelin he did up there, wasn't it?
House.
Yeah. And that was like, there's the idea that could have somehow opened some kind of rift and brought in the monster. I do love that idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
It's a cool story. Whether you subscribe to it or not,
Yeah. So Friday the 18th of August was the day that the planet Nibiru was supposed to collide with Earth, ending civilization as we know it.
Sweet. According to who?
Well, as you know, the Earth wasn't destroyed, but this idea about this planet Nibiru, sometimes described as Planet X, it comes from the idea that the solar system harbors a hidden planet, a hidden ninth planet beyond the orbit of Neptune.
What happened to Pluto?
Yeah, it was demoted.
It was demoted, right? So that isn't a
Not a planet.
Mandela effect type thing.
No,
Where,
that was
cool.
a planet up until fairly recently, and then it was demoted. So it's not impossible that there could be an undiscovered planet, but the idea that it could collide with Earth is impossible, because if its orbit was able to bring it that close to us,
We would have already had it.
and we would have seen it.
Yeah.
Scientists would have been able to observe it for years and years and years.
There's
But
that film, Another Earth, which is quite cool. It's like a Brit Marling film. And it's like there's this other Earth that's just getting closer and closer to...
Melancholia.
Similar to Melancholia. It's got a similar visual sort of feel to it. And it is weirdly melancholy as well. And it's like... I don't really remember what happens. I just remember it gave me a really weird, sad feeling. Like Melancholia.
Yeah.
It's easier to watch than Melancholia, though. Melancholia is like 3 hours long, isn't it? Whereas this is about half that. So, Melancholia light.
It's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it when you get through it, though.
Oh, it's dense. I've not watched it for years. I might have to watch that again. Actually,
Yeah. I'll lend you the DVD if you want.
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah.
You can give it me when you give me back my coffee cup that you've had for months.
Oh yeah. I keep bringing it every time we meet, and it's your fault for not taking it.
It's because it's black. I can't see it.
Okay, because we always meet in darkness.
We do.
Yeah. People love a doomsday event, don't they? The idea of Nibiru comes from, you did ask where it came from, and now I'll give you your answer. Contactee Nancy Lyder in the mid-90s received messages from an alien intelligence from Zeta Reticuli through an implant in her brain. She originally predicted that this planet would collide with us in May of 2003.
Yeah.
That was then postponed and attached to the 2012 phenomena, 21st of December 2012, and then the 23rd of September 2017, and then apparently the 22nd of August 2023.
When is it now? When's the next one?
Well, I don't know. I maybe they've given up. I mean, God knows, I would. Now, some of them are saying that it's a conspiracy, that NASA know that we're going to be destroyed by Nibiru, but they're covering it up, and that the US government has built the South Pole Telescope to track Nibiru and have taken images of it, which are being covered up, and also that Nibiru is being covered up by Google Sky, who have a missing patch near to Orion. Now, all of that is bollocks, because NASA wouldn't have the means or the money to cover up a planet that's on a collision course with us. I mean, how would you do that?
Unless there was a blue beam thing going on where they were projecting like blackness onto Nibiru, so that we couldn't see it, like the opposite of a hologram.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd question their motives in doing that. The South Pole Telescope, which isn't owned by NASA anyway, couldn't see an approaching object from its position, and it's a radio telescope, not an optical telescope, so it couldn't take a picture of it.
They didn't think this one through, did they?
No, and Google has stated quite firmly that their missing data is due to a software error. So I don't think that Nibiru is going to be what the end of us
I think we're going to be okay. I think it'll be.
Well, I don't think we're going to be okay, but I don't think the planet's going to kill us. I think we'll probably kill ourselves first.
Yeah.
On 10th of August, Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic launched Galactic-2, the first craft ever to take, well, it's the first spacecraft to take tourists. That's people who aren't already working, in space.
Civilians.
Stuff. Yeah, into space. The Blue Orbit rocket, which is Jeff Bezos, another lovely billionaire, his company has already taken tourists out in rockets, but Galactic is like a spacecraft. It takes off from a runway, even though it's kind of attached to a larger aircraft, and it climbs to cruising altitude before detaching and racing away into space. I mean, I'm sick of billionaires.
Yeah.
They're always pissing about in space. They did
They're always
this
pissing about on Earth as well.
Yeah, they did this less than 2 months after the Titan submarine implosion. So I'd be worried if I was on that craft. And it was 4 months after Musk's spaceship, was what they call it, SpaceX Starship or something. It made its first attempt at suborbital flight and ended up exploding less than 4 minutes into its journey. He tried it again, this is Musk, in November of 2023, and it exploded again. I mean, I don't even think he's trying, I think after that, he kind of gave up and just acquired another aerospace agency or something. It's just, I mean, the thing is that the likely scenario that I see is that space is just going to be a frontier for rich people, and that ordinary people are going to be left on Earth suffering the destruction caused mainly by the rich people.
Yeah, we'll just be here burning in their wake.
Yeah. But on the 23rd of August, Uri Geller shared a picture of an alien, which he claimed to be real, claimed to be female, and claimed to be pregnant.
Yeah.
He said that the photo had been shared with him by none other than Whitley Strieber. Strieber later clarified that he received the picture from a friend on Facebook.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
A friend. Who was the friend? Was he called like Ditchard Roti or something?
Yeah. And he asked Uri Geller to share it.
He asked Uri Geller to share it.
He said, Whitley Strieber said, well, it could be a puppet, but if it is, it's very, very close to what I've seen in real life. Now, Uri Geller said that Strieber thought it was real because of its prominent vagina.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I think he means vulva. Like I don't think.
It's not the actual. Yeah,
I don't think it could be like prominent in the way that he describes it.
His grasp of the female anatomy leaves a little bit to be desired. But
and Whitley Strieber believes that this image may be authentic because the primary reason being that the genitals are so true to life.
I'm going to add Whitley Strieber on Facebook now because I didn't know he was on there, but like. I just think it could be.
You could share some photos with him.
Can he? Yeah, that's what I mean. I could find a picture of him. Let's see if he's on Facebook. So, dear listener, I'm searching Facebook, which I hardly go on these days, to see if I can find Whitley Strieber. I wonder if he's under Witty or here we go, Whitley Strieber. Yeah, author, 879 followers. I can like him, but I can't add him. But he wears a nice hat, Whitley Strieber, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Anyway, there's been no proof of these wild claims, and they've since sort of died down a bit.
Yeah. On the 17th of December, it says on his Facebook profile, author of Communion, coming December the 17th, Melody Burning, my first book for young adults.
Wow.
So I wonder if that actually came out.
Yeah, it's getting into the young adult market.
September 2023.
Okay, I know you've been looking forward to this one, Buckley. On Tuesday, 12th of September 2023, during a Congress hearing in Mexico City titled Assembly for the Regulation of Unidentified Anomalous Aerial Phenomena, Mexican ufologist Jaime Maussan presented what he claimed were two perfectly preserved non-human entities. He announced that the bodies were more than 1,000 years old and were discovered buried between the Peruvian cities of Palpa and Nazca in 2017.
Nazca mummies, my favourite dry little guys.
Yes. Maussan, he stressed that the pair had been studied in great depth by both investigative journalists and scientists, with researchers at the National Autonomous University of Mexico using carbon dating to draw DNA evidence from the skeletal specimens. They reportedly found that more than 30% of the extracted DNA was unknown, and said both bodies contained implants made of extremely rare metals. X-rays of the bodies were also shown at the hearing, with one said by experts to contain eggs. So yeah, this kind of went viral, didn't it?
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I mean, they were obviously just like papier-mâché, but because the guy who did it, he was just a like he'd done it before, hadn't he? That was the thing that no one sort of really picked up on, or sort of no one reporting the story, was that the very guy who brought these Nazca mummies to the public's notice had made a similar hoax out of like bones and bits and stuff, and like a few years earlier. And it's like, oh yeah, we trust this guy. This is definitely the guy. Like, he must be telling the truth this time.
I mean, Canadian laboratories analysed it and found them to be like 100% human. So it's made of bones and stuff, you know, like it's just like, and the Peruvian World Congress on Mummy Studies released a statement condemning the bodies as a hoax made from human remains and demanded an official inquiry into whether archaeological crimes had been committed.
Archaeological crime.
I know, yeah.
It was crazy that, and it was like, it was pretty shocking to see, like, because the way it was, like, you're not used to seeing stuff like that on regular news, or on, you know, you're used to seeing it in photos like that, you know, on 14 Times or on like some weird website and stuff like that. But now it's like mainstream news is reporting stuff like this, and it's just a bit of a shock sort of seeing it.
I know, it's really weird. And only 2 days later, on Thursday, the 14th of September, NASA released its report on its year-long study into UAPs. It was only 33 pages, and in any other year, this would have been incredible. But in 2023, this was like just more of the same. Warnings that the stigma around reporting could pose an obstacle to data collecting, and that there was no evidence that UAPs were of extraterrestrial origin. So NASA had recently appointed a director of UAP research, but they refused to divulge his identity at the news conference in hopes of avoiding the threats and harassment faced by panel members during the study. But then 8 hours later, they just released his name. It's Mark McInerney.
Mark the Canary?
No, Mark McInerney.
Right, okay.
I thought
we're back on the animals again. Back on the birds and animals.
So it's just like an extremely small study. It was launched a year ago. It cost under $100,000. It had access to no top secret data. It just used declassified stuff. And the panel chairman, David Spergel, president of the Simons Foundation, said that most events can be attributed to planes, drones, balloons, or weather conditions. So, I mean, I don't know. Interesting. Later in the month, Gary McKinnon, the British hacker who hacked into NASA's computers back in 2002, when he was looking for evidence for UFOs, criticized NASA's report, saying that they'll never tell the truth, and adding that they are the National Association of Space Actors. Basically, what he's saying is that he saw something on there when he hacked their systems that they're not telling us about. He said that he saw raw satellite photos that were held inside a folder, and he claimed that when he clicked on it, it showed an image of a smooth cigar-shaped craft, and it was above Earth on the photos and all that sort of thing. I don't know. The whole thing's very weird, and all of this stuff about McKinnon comes from the only news sources I could find it from were from the Sun. So it's like very, very dubious. Yeah. In possibly the most 2023 thing to happen all year, on 25th of September, a paper was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, detailing how scientists have built an AI to be used to detect alien life.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So they've got basically a new machine learning algorithm that's been trained using living cells, fossils, meteorites, and lab-made chemicals, and can distinguish between samples of biological and non-biological origin 90% of the time, according to the scientists that built it. And yet the algorithm's inner workings remain a mystery. And what they're saying about it is that these results mean that we may be able to find a life form from another planet, another biosphere, even if it's very different from the life we know on Earth. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, like some kind of bacteria, or do you know what I mean? Like not intelligent life, but just...
I mean, they should just cut out the middleman and just let the AIs speak directly to the aliens, and we can just sort of quietly let ourselves go extinct.
Yeah.
And the final one for September, on the 23rd of September 2023, firefighters attended the scene of a woman who was trapped down a well in Saltillo, Nuevo Centro Metropolitano in Mexico. To confirm that she was all right, officers called down the well to ask her what her name was. Juanita, she replied back from the depths. However, when they got their equipment down to the bottom of the well and made the descent, they found nobody down there.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Now then, was there any other way out of the well?
No,
Was it just a straight down well?
One researcher explained that they found evidence of a person dying there several years before, but also offered the explanation that it could be a spirit of a lower realm, saying, we're talking about the fact that it could be an entity from the lower astral being in places where sewage passes through. Portals are regularly created in these places that are doors to other dimensions.
Could it not just be that it was a really, really, really deep well, and that what they heard was the woman who died years ago calling back, like, it's me, Juanita, but because it was such a deep well, it took years for the sound to travel up.
Could be that.
Could be
that.
We need a physicist or a mathematician to
find me one of those
to work this out.
Yeah. And so in September, we released a 2-part interview with Douglas Batchelor of What Magic Is This? And that was a great pleasure.
It was magic.
It was.
October 2023.
Okay, so this is one that you'll enjoy. Back in 2022, physicist Melvin Vopson, which is a great name for a physicist, and his colleague Serban Lepidatu, who was a physicist at the University of Central Lancashire, which is Preston again, which is cementing Lancashire's credentials as the centre of all things spooky. They proposed a new law of physics, the second law of infodynamics, which is obviously a play on the second law of thermodynamics, which is a major rule in physics. But this is based on entropy, which is the measure of disorder in a system. Now, the second law of thermodynamics establishes that the entropy of the universe either remains constant or increases, but never decreases over time. Vopson and Lepidatu found, to their surprise, that the second law of infodynamics is the exact opposite, that entropy in an information system either remains constant or decreases over time. Anyway, in a study that was published in October of 2023, they applied this law to a wide variety of information systems, including digital information, genetic information, atomic physics, mathematical symmetries, and cosmology. And the results basically provide scientific evidence that appears to underpin the simulated universe hypothesis.
Nice.
Yes. Their argument is, and this is a quote, a super complex universe like ours, if it were a simulation, would require a built-in data optimization and compression mechanism in order to reduce the computational power and the data storage requirements. This is exactly what we're observing via empirical evidence all around us, including digital data, biological systems, atomistic systems, symmetries, and the entire universe.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess it also implies that idea of the technology moving towards a singularity as well, like the information itself moving towards a degree of complexity where it could become life, which could be what created the simulation in the first place.
I like it. It seems to explain like one of the great mysteries of the universe, which is why does symmetry dominate in the universe? And they argue that using simple geometric shapes, they've demonstrated that high symmetry always corresponds to the lowest information entropy state or the lowest information content, explaining why everything in nature tends to symmetry instead of asymmetry.
So it's using up less processing power to
effectively, it's like compression.
Recreate it. Yeah. Because it needs to be, because this is in that book that I've been reading about as well, about the idea of like it reduces the bandwidth, the sort of complexity of things that aren't being viewed as well.
Yeah.
Sort of like how, it still exists, but it's not as complex when it's outside of our field of vision sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, it could also be that our understanding of the universe, we're talking about it through, people nowadays are talking about it through the language of computers and computing and computer-generated worlds, because that's the language we have.
Yeah.
That's another. It makes sense according to them rules, because we're only just catching up to that.
Yeah.
We're coming to understand it, but it is pretty cool how it comes through games.
Yeah.
Because one of the other things I learned today was about how a lot of children's learning comes through play.
Yeah.
And so even as a race, even as a whole species, our learning is still coming through play.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, I think that if we played more, we'd all be better people.
Played more, work less.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, that book Whitley Strieber wrote actually came out in 2011. He's not updated his Facebook in 13 years. And it's got terrible reviews. And the reviews are so bad that he's actually posted on Goodreads saying, I am the author of Melody Burning. The book has not yet been published, and yet there are reviews from as early as last March. Last March, it hadn't even been finished. For what it's worth, I think that these people are reviewing a controversial author who they dislike. They cannot have read a book that has not yet been released. So please give Melody a chance. Do not rely on fallacious reviews. I have dated this review to the actual date I finished the book. It will be published on December the 7th, 2011.
Poor Whitty.
So there we go. I know. Can't catch a break, that guy.
So, according to a study commissioned by Paramount Plus, that reliable news source, more than 1 in 5 people in Britain believe their house is haunted. This is interesting because I think there's generally a tendency towards conflating superstition with a lack of sophistication or education or enlightenment. And yet here we are at the end of 2023 with 21% of people thinking that they are literally living with the ghost. And as many as 69% think that ghosts are real, with 38% saying that they've actually seen a ghost. So most likely to have seen a ghost are Londoners, 75%. Well, no, they're the most likely to believe in the paranormal. So not having actually had an experience, but believing in it. So that's 75%. Then Mancunians, 70%. And residents of Edinburgh, 47%. And Cambridge, 54%.
It's a big old city.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of it could be like demographics and stuff like that, like racial demographics or cultural demographics and stuff.
You'll have to ask Paramount Plus. Get a subscription.
I'll ask London.
Yeah, just ask London.
I'll go on London Reddit and say, "Hey, London people of London, it's me, Stephen from Preston."
Yeah, they'll love you for that. Finally, for October. Well, we haven't talked about the warmongering death shower of psycho pricks at Boston Dynamics yet this year.
Are those the guys that invented that dog thing?
And they couldn't help but use AI in the form of Chat GPT. Chat GPT, yeah. I never say that out loud. I only ever read it. So they couldn't help but use AI in the form of Chat GPT to make their robo-bastard murder dogs talk. So they
Jesus Christ.
They gave them posh English accents because they're undoubtedly bad guys, and because they're not even pretending to want to conceal that. And maybe they can discuss like the finer points of lawn polo or Earl Grey or putting young children up chimneys while they break a soft human body into 1,000 dripping pieces with whatever brutal weapon their kill-brain war capitalist masters have equipped them with today.
This is the worst one you've done. Yeah. This is horrible. I don't like this.
Let's move on away from it.
Yeah.
In October, we released our interview with Stephanie Quick, and we told ghost stories with Phil Lang, cartographer, and Bob Freeman, who were both returning guests.
Yes, couple of excellent episodes there.
Yes.
November 2023.
So a statue of the Virgin Mary in a church in El Canal, Colombia in Mexico was reported to be weeping tears. And there's footage of this happening, which I'll link to in the show notes. And even like the actual eyes of the statue look red, like it's been crying. It's very weird.
Wow.
We haven't really had a good religious story yet. So here we go. The Blessed Virgin Mary, no less. As usual, skeptical scientists have said that, well, statues can absorb water due to their porous materials and shed water as well. But
And shed water just out
yeah,
of the
I was going to say,
eyes.
the fact is that it's coming out of the statue's eyes. I'm like, you're telling me how, but I want to know why. I mean, it could be a hoax, but locals are attributed to the violence in the community. Like Colima has been labeled the most dangerous city in Mexico and has held that ranking for 6 years. And according to the Mexican organization, the Citizen Council for Public Security and Criminal Justice, so according to Colima's prosecutor's office, by October of 2023, 702 intentional homicides were confirmed to have taken place.
Right, okay.
So it's a very violent place.
Are you saying that... All right, so you're not saying that the Blessed Virgin Mary
killing people
is responsible?
No, I don't think that's what's being implied here. I think that because of the violence, she's come to...
Because it could be. That should be something that they consider.
Yeah, I mean, that could be why they have such high violence, because they're just not capturing...
It could be why she's crying.
She's not capturing... They're not capturing the culprit.
She could be crying out of guilt.
She could be, yeah. I mean, I think that's case closed. Next one.
Hiding in plain sight. Yeah. That's what I say.
Yeah. I think
I'm turning into the Carl Pilkington of Vayse, aren't I?
I think that's a wrap up on that one. So also in November, a startup called Prophetic revealed a wearable device, again designed to spark lucid dreams. Right. So like this is another. This one you don't have to drill a hole into your head for. You can just wear it. So no need to drill a hole into your head. So that poor bastard in Russia must be absolutely kicking himself. So it's no wonder that he pulled that chip back out. So the chief technology officer for the company, Prophetic, called Wesley Lewis Berry III, said the list of benefits of lucid dreaming is long. There's everything from helping with PTSD, reduced anxiety, improving mood, confidence, motor skills, and creativity. The benefits are really outstanding. I haven't heard about any of this about lucid dreams because this other guy drilling a hole in his head thought it was brilliant as well. I mean, have you ever had a lucid dream?
Sort of. I've had dreams where I've realised it's a dream, and all I ever do when I realise it's a dream is fly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's a dream. That means I can fly. No, and then I sort of swim up into the air, like and I fly around a bit. But it's quite an effort to fly. I like swimming. It's like it's not effortless. You can only do it for so long, and I fly around a bit. Sometimes I just fly like just up a bit, like a big jump. Yeah, really. Yeah. Like a jump that sort of hangs in the air a bit, and I'm just hovering a bit and then come back down.
This is kind of my experience of lucid dreaming as well. Like swimming in the air thing, definitely.
Yeah, and then that's it. So it's never really anything sort of particularly wild.
No. Well, I mean, if you want to carry on swimming in the air in 2025, apparently they're going to be releasing this device. It's centering ultrasound into your brain, if you fancy that.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. So you can have one of these very own. You can have your very own headset. And yeah, I couldn't leave UFOs alone for another month. November saw Sean Kirkpatrick, the director of the Pentagon's UFO office, resigned. He just said, "I'm ready to move on. I've accomplished everything I was going to do." No, that was it.
Right.
And it's worth remembering here that Kirkpatrick had publicly criticised Grusch, saying, "So, Mr. Grusch, since RO stood up and since I've been director, has not come to see us and provided any information." So he basically criticised the lack of evidence.
Yeah, which is
fair enough. Said, "To be clear, RO has yet to find any credible evidence to support the allegations of any reversed engineering program for non-human technology." So maybe he somehow got in the way of the current dominant agenda.
I wonder when we'll find out.
I don't know.
I guess that'll be in our roundup of 2024.
Yeah. Then there was a second hearing in the Mexican Congress on those dry little guys. I don't know. Some rapper did a little rhyme in there, and everyone applauded. So
I saw that.
And then ex-USAF senior patrolman Jeff Nititelli backed up Ryan Graves' claims of the red football-sized square. Apparently, this guy had interviewed directly the people who saw it and said that big, giant football-sized square in the sky was real.
Right, okay.
Of course, he hadn't seen...
Hang on, a giant football-sized square?
Field-sized square,
right.
yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
Cool.
Important bit of information missing there.
Yeah, I was going to say a giant football size. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be the size of a giant football if the football was the size of a football field.
If the football was giant. Yeah.
Then Grusch talked to Joe Rogan because, of course, he did. And, of course, he had to admit that he hadn't personally seen any direct evidence of the craft of the biologics. So everyone just read Mirage Men. And in November, we released our episode with Emily Louise and spoke to Willow Truman.
Excellent.
Both good episodes.
Yes, I enjoyed those two.
December 2023.
Here we go. December 2023.
We're close.
Close. On Tuesday, the 12th of December, Tesla unveiled their latest terrifying humanoid doombot, the Optimus Gen 2. Like, why the fuck are they still doing this?
Because the guys are not.
Yeah, apparently these robots are 30% faster and 10 kilograms lighter than their predecessor. Its hands have been upgraded with tactile sensing on all its fingers, and it's sporting an upgraded array of sensors and actuators. It still walks as if it shit its pants. Yeah, I mean, I'll put some videos on the show notes, but I can only imagine that with the technology that they have here, and as advanced as they claim it to be, that is exactly how the designers wanted it to walk. They must have purposefully chosen to build a replicant that walks like it shit itself.
Yeah, maybe it's like a little dig at Elon, a little passive aggressive,
Or maybe it's to lessen the humiliation when one of these atomic brain sub-creatures chokes the life out of you and you evacuate your own bowels in your final act of desperate, defiant defecation.
Maybe.
I mean, that's all I can think.
I could see you've thought this one through.
Yeah. And I mean, if that is it, then you can only thank the engineers for their thoughtful generosity in that respect. You'll love this one, Buckley. Scientists from the Technical University of Denmark revealed that they've created an AI which can predict with unprecedented accuracy when you're going to die.
Okay.
So I know that you don't like this sort of thing.
What, dying?
Yeah. Or knowing when you're going to die. Yeah. If an AI came up to you and told you when you were going to die, what would you say?
The thing is, I don't like to be unprepared. I do like to know what's happening
you would use
at what
this,
time at all times.
It's another chat.
I actually become very anxious when I don't know what time things are happening. So actually,
this might be.
I might quite like it.
This might be the key for you. It's another chat,
but maybe this is the one thing I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's another chat GTP thing, and basically they fed into it all the info for the health and labour market data for 6 million Danes collected from 2008 to 2020, including information on an individual's education, visits to doctors and hospitals, resulting diagnoses, income and occupation. So that's how
has it been accurate yet?
Well,
surely some of these people must have died by now.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I think because it's quite new, it only came out in December of 2023. I think we maybe have to give it some time for people to die first.
What was the sample size, though?
The sample size was it 8 million?
8 million. Surely out of 8 million people, one of them will have died
6
by
million.
now. 6 million.
No.
So
I mean, they fed it the data from those people so that it would learn how and when they died. And then you can put your own data into it, and it'll tell you when you will die.
But what I need to know is, have one of them 6 million people died
yet?
And
loads
if
of them will be dead. But they weren't using it to predict their deaths. They were just using that 6 million as a data set.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it sounds dodgy as fuck to me. I don't know. I mean, as Dr. Emmett Brown once said, nobody should know too much about their own destiny.
No, and as Desmond Hume once said, "You're gonna die, Charlie."
Yeah, there's that. Finally, the most frightening story of the year. Chris Carter revealed that he is working on an updated reboot of The X-Files with Disney.
Sweet Lord, Disney.
I know. Of course, 2023 saw The X-Files reach its 30th anniversary, and I started watching it from the beginning on the day that was its anniversary of the first screening of the pilot episode.
Precise, I like it.
Yeah, I just wanted to live in the cliche a bit. But I don't think we need a reboot. I'm watching it now, and it's great. It's perfect as it was.
No.
Really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's like
certainly the first like 6 seasons or whatever.
I mean, I've watched it through a couple of times, and this is probably my third go through. I've not watched the last 2 series. I've not been that interested.
They're not amazing,
but I will watch them at the end of this run through. I mean, apparently Ryan Coogler is helming it. That could be interesting. I mean, I've got nothing personal against him. It's just that he has to realize that this is sort of sacred ground that he's walking on here.
Yeah.
I mean, why is everything franchises and reboots? I mean, if that had been the media territory in 1993, then the X-Files may never have been commissioned, or it may never have got its second series.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just stupid, and they do it for the nostalgia book because it's like an easy way because you've almost always got a target audience, not a target audience. What's the word for it?
Yeah, captive audience, like a ready built
captive audience. Yeah. Who are automatically going to watch it for nostalgia, but then they will trail off once they realise it's shit, assuming it's going to be shit. But that kind of almost doesn't matter because I think that's like the Netflix model, isn't it? Where all they care about is like the first episode, and that makes all the money, and then it doesn't really matter if it gets rubbish after that.
So December, you turned 42, didn't you?
I
also
did.
In 2023, Jurassic Park turned 30. We saw that at the cinema together when we were kids.
We did.
Beetlejuice turned 35.
We watched that last week.
Did you? I watched that over Christmas. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's like the I was thinking watching it, like the set design is incredible on that film.
Yeah.
Like
Costumes,
just the way it looks,
everything. Yeah,
and
special
effects.
Like
the way that they even right from the beginning when it comes down over the model town.
Yeah.
It's like it's just amazing. It's such a visually like interesting film.
Yeah,
it's just like a joy to watch.
I still think it's one of, if not the best Tim Burton film. Because I mean, I do love Batman Returns as well, but it's just like he seems to have lost that vision that he had early on, where everything was a bit weird, you know. Like, I mean, like now it's like because Tim Burton or Burton-esque became its own thing, he now has to live within the constraints of his own sort of legacy.
Yeah, he's like it's like a tribute band sort of thing, isn't it?
Die Hard turned 35 as well. Halloween, the movie turned 45. The Exorcist turned 50, as we've said, and 2001: A Space Odyssey turned 55.
Wow.
Yeah. And all this just makes me feel like really, really old. And it reminds me that in 2024, The Sopranos turns 25, True Detective Season 1 turns 10 years old, Ghostbusters turns 40, Shaun of the Dead turns 20, The Matrix turns 25, Fight Club turns 25, American Beauty turns 25, The Crow turns 30, This is Spinal Tap turns 40, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom turns 40, Gremlins turns 40, and The Terminator turns 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, as if I didn't feel old enough already. Yeah. Thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah. And we, in December, released interviews with Roger J. Amana and Lauren Fetterman.
We did. And we also allowed our Discord users to get a tantalizing glimpse behind the curtain of Vayse World, in which we filmed a small video of each other giving each other Christmas presents, which was fun.
Yeah.
And one of many reasons why you should join us on
Please
Discord.
do. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Vayse, then Vayse spelled backwards. So that's at VAYSEESYAV. You can go to our website at www.vayse.co.uk. You can download the podcast from just about all of the major podcasting platforms, but it's only at our website that you can get the full unabridged show notes. You can email us if you'd like to at vayseinfo@gmail.com. I'm a little bit behind on replying people's emails, but I do try to reply to everyone. You can get the soundtrack by our very own Mr. Stephen James Buckley at Bandcamp. And if you want to support us by checking any spare cash that you would like to, we have our own Ko-Fi, which you can get a link to on our Twitter and on our website. And if you give us a regular donation, you can join our Discord, which is a lovely place to be, full of lovely people doing lovely things.
And me.
And me too.
So one more question before you go. Did you make a New Year's resolution? And if so, what was it? If you're willing to share it with us.
I didn't really make one this year.
Make one now.
Yeah,
Have you
I
got
could
any
make one
hopes and
now.
dreams for the year?
Yeah. Did you make one? Let me just buy myself some
No,
time.
of course not. Yeah,
Well,
no.
let's make
I
one
mean, I could
together.
make one. Let's make one together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Putting ourselves on the spot.
We could do a resolution not to do another 3-hour long
Yeah.
recording. Although I don't know, it's kind of fun, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Brevity or
Brevity above all
yeah,
things.
brevity above all.
For fuck's sake. I'm never working with this shower of assholes again. I need a new agent.